Hey everybody, welcome to Going Analog, the podcast in which gamers talk about a game, multiple games, and some topic to discuss. So I'm your host, Christina, and with me today are multiple Johns. I'm very excited about this. And so we have the CEO of AEG, John Zinser, with us. They've published so many of our favorite games. Very excited to talk to you. And one of our favorite designers, John D Clair, who's designed, I have a whole list here. Like I can't even name them all, but we've got Space, Mystic Vale, Cubitos, Ready, Set, Bet, Ecos, Dead Reckoning, Mistborn, the deck building game, which we just played. I played with Shu recently and had to immediately re-challenge him when I lost the first time. So thanks for making all these great games. And we're excited to have you on. So we will first talk about, we're going to have a topic we're going to discuss later. So what's our topic that you got to pick today, John?
So I thought the topic of a trend I've seen in game design recently of autoplay as a game system. I thought that would make an interesting topic.
Yeah, I've definitely been noticing it lately too. And then first we wanted to talk about some games to get to know each other as our little icebreaker. So the game I wanted to highlight today is Fight 5. So this is designed by Manny Tremblay, published by the Neon Knight imprint from Chip Theory. So I got all of this somehow. And so it's a really quick, fun little filler game playing up to 5 people. And it's sort of like war with actual decisions, which is sort of fun. So talking a little bit about Autobattlers, this one is not quite one, but you have multiple stacks of battle cards between you and your next neighbor. So you're battling over 2 stacks with the neighbors to your left, 2 on the right, and then a stack in the middle. So there's constantly cards. You're going to play all of the cards in your hand into one of those stacks to try to win the points and the everything involved there. So it's sort of interesting because you have to assign all 5 cards every single time that you're playing. And so there's always something going on. You feel very active. And then the fun part is the reveal. So for each battle, you're going to flip your cards at the same time and see if you tied. If you tied, nobody gets it. You just let it ride and it gets richer and richer and richer. Or maybe I did beat you with my huge card. I take all these cards. We're going to score at the end. Really quick game, super fun, easy rules, and that is very attractively packaged for a small little card game. Very shiny.
Can we play after?
Yeah.
That was on. That's been when that passed across my radar. I feel like it was like 3 weeks ago. I was like, I really want to try that one.
Yeah, it was really fun. During Gen Con 2, if you bought 1 copy from them, they gave you a free regular copy to give to a friend. So it was really cute, awesome. Good promotion there.
There's a good promo.
Yeah, so we've been playing it a bunch when we have like maybe 10, 20 minutes between games. And we'll just like break it out, which is great.
Yeah. Don't call us up and try to get us to do that with Mystic.
There's a certain MSRP threshold, right? That's a viable promotion strategy.
And what was the game that you brought for us?
Yeah, so I didn't bring it, but I wanted to talk briefly about a game called Living Forest. It's a game with it's a deck building game with a push your luck mechanism, like a blackjack style push your luck, where you're playing cards until you choose to stop or you bust or whatever, right? When you get a partial turn, and then use that to deck build and buy cards and add to your deck. And then there's several other mechanisms also. You can buy these trees that give you permanent bonuses. You can go around this little spinny like track wheel, and that's sort of where the player interaction is. It's a lovely little game, and it was on my mind in particular because it's like in the design journey of the game we're going to talk about of mine later. So I designed a game called Mystic Vale back in 2016, and I have no idea if that game inspired the designers of Living Forest, but when I saw Living Forest, I was like, oh, that's an interest that looks like a progression of sort of the push your luck system that I had. And I hadn't even come up with that. If we like rewind back in time, there was a game called Flip City that had done sort of a blackjack style deck building. And then that inspired Mystic Vale. And again, I don't know if Living Forest was inspired by Mystic Vale, but it felt like they iterated on it in a way that I thought was interesting. And informed a little bit of the choices that I made in now sort of my follow-up game to Mystic Vale. So it was on top of my mind. It's a quick little game, a very sort of a linear engine builder, but with a lot of like min-maxing options, a nice little deck building push your luck system.
I think it was nominated for a Spiel.
I believe it won the Kenner Spiel.
Yeah, the Kenner Spiel. Yeah. So I played it on BGA, and I actually now remember when I was learning it, I played it on BGA like once or twice. Yeah. I was like, oh, oh, the busting is like Mystic Vale. Okay, I literally thought that.
Yeah.
So that was a fun game. But yeah, I'm interested to hear how that relates to this too. Yeah. And other John, John Zinser.
So my game is the game that I recommend and give as a gift to my friends, Love Letter, which is a game that Alderac Entertainment Group actually published. But I've been told that it is okay to have a conversation about it because it is no longer published by AEG. It is now.
But we'd love to hear the
Asmodee.
history. It's so classic. Yeah.
So I went to Japan to go to Game Market early on. When Game Market was little teeny tiny small little booths that were about as big as this table with 3 designers.
Isn't it still kind of like that? But like scaled up?
Yeah.
The booths are still small. The space is bigger, right?
And we were getting a tour of all of the places, and we were meeting all of the individual designers at the booths, and my main developer and I walked past Seiji Kanai's booth, and we were introduced to him. And he said, "Do you want to play a game?" And we're like, "Well, we're on our way to a meeting. We can't play a game." And he came out from behind his booth and he said, "It'll take 2 minutes." And he said, "Put your hand out." And so we put our hand out. And so we just dealt cards and played the perfect game of Love Letter. And it was just like this moment where we both were like, wow, that was amazing. I wonder if that game is like that every time. And it turns out that it was. And so we went to our other meeting and actually bought the game Guildhall in that meeting.
That's funny.
And then came back and signed Love Letter, and then that was a good day for finding games.
Yeah.
Good day for finding games.
And we have that special wedding edition.
I've got a copy of Love Letter Wedding Edition, which was a promotional copy that we did. And the whole idea was, if you were getting married, you could contact us and buy this at a very reasonable price to give out as gifts at your wedding.
We did it at our wedding.
We did it.
You guys did it at your wedding.
So that is our wedding copy where we gave one to every group. So shoes off on the side, because he's been replaced by John today. So it's all good.
There's too many Johns.
Too many Johns. Yeah. But all of the different iterations have been really fun too, and it's been such a great property, and everybody's intro game is a good one for
and we think Asmodee's licenses and the things that they're attaching to it are amazing. So
awesome. I wanted to talk about these new offerings from AEG, of course, because I have both of you here, which is great. We just played an prototype copy of Mystic Lands, which is the sequel to Mystic Vale, which we played many years ago, but it was so exciting with the card crafting. It was revolutionary at the time. So many card games following it have been inspired by that, obviously. But this Mystic Lands was super fun. So we
won with a big asterisk.
There's a I will acknowledge the asterisk. I maybe opened up a land that I shouldn't have.
Which we caught during scoring.
Yes. But you still have the main card crafting aspect, but there's so much more that's smoother, but also a lot more depth to it, I think, in this game. So I really enjoyed how the way that you're adding the cards in. There's 4 different aspects that you can add now, but it's not overwhelming at the same time. Maybe it's because I got a great teach from the designer. But why don't you describe, what inspired you to want to pursue this again?
Yeah.
What were your inspirations for Mystic Lands?
So, as is often the case as a designer, after a game comes out, and you suddenly get tons of feedback. And, inevitably after years have gone by and you look back on that design, you're like, well, there's a number of things, given the chance, I would do differently.
Yeah.
So I started exploring that with Mystic Vale, with the idea of making a Mystic Vale 2nd edition. And along that path, it turned out there were a few substantial changes that were sort of even more than you would call what would be appropriate to call a 2nd edition, but still had very much the most important parts of Mystic Vale that you're like, oh, that's clearly a Mystic Vale evolution.
Yeah.
So in that vein, I pursued that and had fun with it. It ended up being this. If you're not familiar with Mystic Vale, the most important hook to the game is card crafting, which is the idea that the cards in your deck are not static. It's not like the card tells you what it does and that's what it is. The cards actually evolve over the course of the game. So it is in the genre of deck builders. but your deck does not gain or lose cards as the game progresses. You simply are making the cards in the deck better. And the mechanism by which you do that is all the cards start in card sleeves. And during the course of the game, you don't buy new cards, you buy advancements, which are these mostly transparent cards with icons and some art on them that you then sleeve with your original card, and it adds new stuff to the card. And you can sleeve multiple of those into the same card. In original Mystic Vale, it was 3 advancements in a card. In this, it's up to 4.
Yeah.
And that card morphs and changes, hopefully gets better. Ideally, you make a card that makes sense and gets a lot better over the course of the game. And that's sort of the central hook of the game. So Mystic Vale did that. And one of the pieces, when I looked back on that design after a while, that I was like, we could have probably hit that a little bit more on the nail on the head, I should say. There's some cool combos that you can make in Mystic Vale. There's a lot of subtle card crafting that is, after you've played a bunch, you're like, oh, this makes sense to do it this way, to put these with that, right? But to a certain extent, it's a little obtuse. You buy an advancement, and you're like, "Oh, cool!" And I can make this card better. I can make this card better. And it's not like "Oh, this goes super well here." Sometimes that would happen in Mystic Vale, but it wouldn't. It would be an experience you'd have a few times during the game, right? And I wanted that to be like every turn, you're like, "I want that to go with this. I want that to go with this." Right? Like this card really needs that particular thing. So I wanted that experience of like, if the coolest combo you can make in Mystic Vale is like here, the coolest combo you can make in Mystic Lands is like here, right?
And the average is like there.
The average is higher, and you're looking at, right? So I wanted that experience of like card craft. I wanted to take card crafting maybe to the max in terms of the awesome combos that you can find and build. Right at the end of the game, everyone's got a card in their deck that, oh, look what I made, right? Even if you didn't win, right?
Yeah.
Just having an art game,
you know. So that was one of the main goals. There was a number of other things. The biggest change in the game, so that's like I took what was in Mystic Vale and I just like cranked it up, right? And there's some important ways that I did it in here. We don't need to go into the details, but that is a main aspect. The main reason why we didn't think it was appropriate to call it a second edition was a more or less complete overhaul of the other system in Mystic Vale, which were the Vale cards.
Yeah.
So in Mystic Vale, there was a secondary market that you could buy these cards that wouldn't go on your deck. They would sit off, and they would either provide endgame points or ongoing powers or something. And you would spend this like set of icons. You'd sort of icon match onto them in a way that was was often more mental overhead than ideally was the payoff. You're like, okay, I've got 4 of this icon and 3 of that kind and 1 of that icon, so I could buy that or maybe that. You know. So I wanted to clean that up, and in the process of cleaning it up, I wanted to also imbue it with more theme. So it's very abstract, being like, I have these icons, and I can buy that card with a really cool picture that just sits off to the side and doesn't really represent anything thematically. And Mystic Vale was never like a very thematic game. It was very much a pasted on theme with pretty art. And this isn't all of a sudden a very thematic game,
but it's still very pretty.
But it's super pretty. It's also, and I would say it's certainly more thematic feeling than Mystic Vale.
Yeah.
In that and then mainly in the sense of the board, right? The board gives you this idea of progression and the powers of the board being revealed as we explore it. So we're sort of druids walking around the world, imbuing the world with magic. So the way the new system works is there are Vale boards, and the base game will come with 4 different boards. Today we just played the very basic board with no special rules. But this board there's a starting spot, and there's a single resource called spirits, and you can use those to like enchant lands on the board. And it's a network. So once you enchant at this spot, now we reveal the next ones, and you can go further as the game goes. But there's also a hint of player interaction there. Something that Mystic Vale also this is getting close to a multiplayer solitaire engine builder game, but less so than Mystic Vale was like pure multiplayer solitaire, build an awesome engine. You're still building an awesome engine, but the board is giving us a little bit more player interaction. The first person to get to a spot gets to pick one of the options. The next players pick from what's left, right? So there's I want to go that way. They have already gone that way, so I could go that way. I get discounts for going that way, but I don't get the better powers. There's a little bit of that.
Yeah, I like that part a lot.
And that's the biggest change. That's a very meaningful part of the game now, and it wasn't in a Mystic Vale, and there was a meaningful part of Mystic Vale that's completely out. So because of that change, we were like, branding this as Mystic makes sense, right? So we want to keep it in that vibrant, Druids land. But it's not. We thought calling it a second edition was probably maybe misleading. No.
What is the timeline on this? Because it is coming to Kickstarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is coming to Kickstarter in November.
Okay.
And we are very close to, we've got product over in China, and we finalized all of our deals with our printers. We expect that it's going to go to press right after the Kickstarter ends, and we're hoping that it releases to the public before the end of next year.
Very exciting. Just as like that next level of Mystic Vale, which is the story behind that was really interesting too, because Mystic Vale, you came about after, you signed Edge of Darkness, right? Yeah. Which was the original card crafting game, but a lot more depth, a lot heavier of a game. Yeah. And then just the card crafting part became Mystic Vale, which was more accessible, I think.
Absolutely.
But I think this is, for me, just such a great experience with the card comboing and just that next step, because I like Mystic Vale, but it was sort of like, I can see this paying off the more I play it, where this one was like, I see the appeal immediately.
This one has, I would say, a similar rules depth as Mystic Vale, but a bit deeper of a strategic depth, certainly in the base box. And like I said, the potential combos you can make in this game are dramatically scaled up.
I stumbled on one.
And the Vale boards are all very unique. So when you play a different Vale board, it gives you a different sort of play experience. It's not just playing the same game over and over again. You're getting to experience the world in a different way.
Yeah, and I love a deck builder, so I'm really excited for this. We also, since we're talking deck builders, just because we just played it recently too, Shu and I also got a chance to play your...
This was late last night you played, you said?
Yes. Yeah. So, because I actually haven't read the series, but Shu has, and so he was so excited to play this. But for me, I have just very little background information about the game, about the actual series. But as a deck builder, it was really fun. Yeah. I like that aspect of activating different part cards with a limited number of metal things and finding the combos and stuff. So that part was still very exciting to me, and it was easy to access despite not knowing the background material very much. So.
The trick with this design was getting the metal system to feel like what it should feel like when you read the book. You read the books and you get this idea of what it feels like to be a Mistborn using these magical powers, right? And the trick with this design was to get as much of that in there without it becoming complicated. And there's 8 different metal resources that all do different powers in that world. So how do I build a not too complex game system that has 8 different resources you have to manage? And I ended up using a coin system. You either have the resource or you don't, right? And that was when I figured that out. I was like, "Oh, that's the trick." And then it really sort of came together.
Yeah, it's so unique. So I really enjoyed that too. And since we have John Zinser here from AEG, of course, I want to ask you. Mystic Lands is coming out soon. Super excited for this. What else do we have to look forward to that you can tell us about?
There's one more of mine coming.
There is one more of yours coming.
There's 2 more of mine, but one is imminent.
One is imminent.
One is not.
John,
secret.
Next game we have coming next year is a game called Electrify. Ooh. It is also an engine builder, but it's an engine builder in the most unique way that I have ever encountered an engine builder. It uses an escalator engine building system where you build a part of the escalator and you use it and then it moves to the front and then it pushes all the other pieces up and you build an engine on each of the slices in the game.
Yeah, if you've played Arc Nova, it's like so Arc Nova uses that system for action selection. And actually the first time I ever saw it was in the Civilization game, New Dawn from Fantasy Flight.
Yeah.
But in Arc Nova and in the Civ game, your ability to engine build your little action selection tableau is very limited. You can upgrade it a bit. In Arc Nova, you can flip the cards over. In Civ, you can replace the card with a new one. I want it to be I want the game to be that where you can engine build that thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the slices get very powerful themselves, and what they do as they move forward gets very powerful, and it's just an unbelievably satisfying gameplay experience.
You're saying all the things that I like. So
that's great.
Arc Nova, as some people may know, if you've listened to our podcast at all, is my favorite game. So if you add that part onto it where you can like modify it and make it more powerful, I'm in. So
yeah, it's that aspect of Arc Nova distilled to like the game, like take that out of Arc Nova, distill it, and then just like turn that into an engine builder.
Yeah. What is the theme of this? It's called Electrify. So
we call it green punk.
Okay.
So we're like energy companies of the not so real future / past.
Yeah.
Where we're building windmills and green energy out into sort of a steampunky, but minus the coal.
This is a thing. Yeah.
There was another game I saw that I was like, the cover came out and I was like, whoa, that could have been our cover.
Solar
it feels like it's
or something like that. Yeah. So
as is often in the creative world, there's sort of like a funneling of ideas over time that like just sort of seem coincidental in many cases. Yeah.
That's when you get like 10 zombie games at the same time.
Exactly.
You know,
we call that train making time. When all of the technology moves to a certain thing, everybody is making trains, right?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, green energy, I'm fine with that.
Sure.
So,
100%.
very exciting. And I wanted to also save time to talk about your topic for us today. Can you remind us what that was?
So my topic, I made some notes so I don't forget. But my topic was the idea of, so I've seen a trend in games that are coming out, which, as I just mentioned, funneling of ideas, happens to coincide with a design space that I've been really interested in lately. The idea of sort of autoplay in as a game system, or just as like a small part of a game. Mm-hmm. So if we rewind, for me, I had the idea way back when to try to put like a CCG tournament, like a draft tournament in a box, as like a box board game experience, right? Like with the idea being you'd pull out your boxed game, and then you guys would draft, and you draft these little decks. And then the deck, you just like auto battle each other really quick with the deck. And then you draft some cards, make it better. And if this sounds like games you've now heard of a bunch, it's because that became a whole genre of games, right? And this was an idea I had 12 years ago, 15 years ago. I did. I was like, we should do this game idea. This is cool. And then I didn't pursue it. I had other things around the agenda, right? And then it became a whole genre. But I always wanted to go back to it, so I've started working on a number of games in the autobattler sort of genre recently. But even like Ready Set Bet was was sort of a consequence of that sort of mode of thinking, right? So Ready Set Bet is the idea of taking sort of what Camelot did, right? You have essentially a 0-player game that's happening, and we have no control over the outcome of that game, but we care about what happens because we've made other choices in both of those games. We've bet on the potential different outcomes of the game, right? So I've seen that approach to sort of an auto play thing has happened. I've seen it in I think a deck builder that just came out, which is maybe people have heard of, Fliptoons.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys have played it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I played it so much. She was tired of it. I'll still play it.
So Fliptoons is it's not an autoplay game. Sort of like you autoplay your turn in a sense, like you just flip out your cards, you hope it works out, right? And then you make choices, right? So I think there seems to be a funneling of a lot of game designers are being inspired by other people's sort of autoplay stuff, right? We saw Hot Streak come out, which is in the vein of Camel Up, Ready Set Bet, right? Hot Streak. This idea of there's a race going on, we don't get to decide what happens.
Like you can influence a little bit.
In Hot Streak, you actually have a little bit of control. Actually, Ready Set Bet is the most pure. You have no control because in Camel Up you can put those little tokens on the board, but that's it, right? In Ready Set Bet, you literally can't do anything. The dice are just being rolled. And in Hot Streak, the cards in the deck are modified over time, but they could come out in completely the wrong way, right? Yeah.
To hilarious effect when they drunkenly go the wrong way and everyone all that stuff.
But it's a whole genre. So like, I made a little quick list of things that have popped into my mind, right? But a game that I've played a bunch lately. So this is a lot. I feel like the genre that an area where this really popped off was in digital.
Okay.
Right. There's like Teamfight Tactics, Hearthstone Battlegrounds, right? And then we saw Challengers as the first tabletop auto battle. And that was the game where I was like, that was the game I wanted to make. Well done, guys. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting game space. I've got 3 in that category right now in prototype stage that it's just a fun space to work in. And why I think is because it's like goes to the psychology of us humans, right? Of like, why do we root for sports teams, right? Like, the day after go Dodgers. The day after the game isn't going to be any different for your individual personal life, whether you win or lose, right? But we really care, and it's like if we have some stake in the outcome of a competition, it becomes really fun to watch that competition.
It's true,
and that sort of psychology has game designers have discovered that is a really fun way to put stuff in the game. Just give people something to root for, whether they have any control of the outcome or not. And then you have to give them a reason to be rooting for it.
Yeah.
Right. And once you compare those things up, that's a fun thing to watch. If you care about the outcome, how do we make you care about the outcome with some game system? And then all of a sudden, that is a fun pairing.
So for this auto battler genre, what would you say? Are you thinking about a very pure sort of way where you're not influencing how the cards come out at all, that sort of thing?
Yes, in general, anything where there's an autoplay system to it. So I actually think Mooncaller Bloodbath fits in this category, right? Where we make decisions about cards to add to the deck, but then we just sort of sit back and are like, "Ooh, what's going to happen?"
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Maybe
the original
war.
Sure, you have no control over it at all. I would say the first hobby market game that was popular that a lot of people don't think of as an auto battler is Galaxy Trucker, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. We do our little drafting of the tokens really quick, and we make choices, and then we just sort of sit back and hope it works out, right?
The sitting back and then seeing what happens. Yeah,
sure.
There is a really fun aspect to that. It's not. It reminds me of Rumble Nation, this smaller Japanese game where you actually are in control of where you put your units out, but how the battles play out. You just literally the whole second phase is just let the battles go and see how it goes, basically. And then it reminded me a lot of Tag Team recently. Have you seen that?
Tag Team's like a 1v1
sort of 1v1.
Auto battler-ish, right?
Because you do choose one card that you get to place, but then you just sort of hopefully semi-remember the order of
you then watch how the battle resolves. Yeah.
And sort of see how that goes. So is that sort of some sort of autoplay aspect
absolutely.
to it? Yeah.
One thing I learned in making a few of these games is to actually, so in the digital space, right, the games autoplay all digitally, and we can watch them, and it works great. In a tabletop space, you can try to make them autoplay, and you can put in rules so that if this, you have a bunch of if-then conditions, if this happens, it depends on how complex the game is. So one of my games is more simple, one is a little bit more complex, right, in how the battle resolves. And one of the things I learned is, as a tabletop game, you actually don't want to go, you need to decide where it's appropriate to have it auto-resolve and where it's appropriate to be just make a choice, right? Because if you try to put too many if-then, so it's a pure auto-battler, that actually creates friction of being okay, so this happens, and then if that happens, okay, so that happens, as opposed to be just decide what happens, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that is as in a tabletop world. Whereas in a digital world, you're just well, there's a 40% chance it happens. Boom, done, right? You can put whatever complex if-then scenarios you want, and the digital thing will just do it, right?
Yeah. Because I think that's the extra aspect of having it as a tabletop game, right? We are here gathered together where I want to make some decisions, but also there has to be something that I feel is participatory, right? Because everybody's going to crap on war, as a card game.
There is a great game that we used to play back in the early days of AEG called World Cup Football. And it's a split game where you basically get secret information about what your countries are. And at the beginning of the game, you're putting cards down in goals to try to get them into the brackets. And then once they're in the brackets,
You just watch the
lays
tournament
out.
play
You
out.
just watch the tournament play out, and you root for your countries. It's fantastic.
I don't know. Like, it's been a while since I played this, but I remember another Seiji Kanai game. I think AUG published it. Was it
Yep.
Cheaty Mages?
Cheaty Mages,
Where we're
yep.
we're influencing and causing these different magical creatures in their arena fight to win or fall down
Yep.
and do things like that too. So it is really fun to feel I think everybody has this human aspect of liking to bet on things, if you have enough information. And for me, that's always that little bit of that's the boundary for me. If I feel like I have absolutely no control or it's just a crapshoot, then it's not fun for me because I feel I have horrible luck and things. And dice hate me. But if I know some things, then I can then I can work out some probabilities, and it's very exciting to root for. In Hot Streak, you mentioned, my favorite mascot is Dangler, the anglerfish. But whenever I bet on him, he always loses. And but that's just also fun in and of itself. If it's a low commitment for me, I think, for those
I think the trick
games.
there, right? It's not, so betting games are fun, right? But why is betting fun?
Yeah.
It's because betting gives you a reason to care,
Mm-hmm.
right? Poker is a terrible game if you don't care about, if you're just playing it, right? But it becomes amazing the second you're betting with money and you care, right? If we just play, let's play a little game of Texas Hold'em, right?
Yeah.
You're just have your cards and you're just oh, okay, I guess I won, right? But the second you're betting on it, it's a great game, right?
Yeah.
So betting is a way to make people care about an outcome, right? And then all of a sudden it's fun, right?
Because then you add that sort of layer of a metagame where there's that bigger aspect than just this one hand, right? That's really interesting. Yeah. Are there any other sort of games that come to mind for you, John?
No, I think that World Cup soccer is the first experience. I've played John's designs, nudging him and winking. I do care. I mean, I'd love to see an AEG logo on one of those games.
Okay. You heard it here, guys. So thanks for joining us. I had a lot of fun discussing all of these games, and I'm excited for Mystic Lands for sure. So we're looking for this in November, right?
Yep.
And then where can people follow up on things coming out for you? I don't think you're on socials, John, but it's
not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I rely on the publishers for the most part to do the announcements for my games.
So we've got this one coming out. Anything else we should be looking out for you?
This, Electrify, Renegade will have a cool announcement about Unstoppable stuff.
Ooh.
They told me probably at PAX Unplugged.
Okay.
I don't know if there's going to be a Mistborn expansion.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's announced yet, but it's not secret. Everyone knows there's going to be a Mistborn expansion. Let's see. I've said it on other podcasts, so I'm allowed to say it. Next year, there will be a Kickstarter from Brotherwise for the Stormlight Archive board game,
okay.
Which I designed with them. That is in the vein of War of the Ring or Star Wars Rebellion. It's a big war game for 1v1.
Okay.
One of the things that was really important to me was to make the 2v2 a real 2v2 and not
just pace
split
it
the
off.
player in half and play half, but your full players. So it's got a solid 2v2 mode. And that is the Stormlight Archive battle for Roshar, Odium versus the Coalition. So if you're a Sanderson fan and you like those books, that's coming to Kickstarter next year, assuming timelines don't change, which is always possible. There's other stuff I'm not allowed to talk about yet.
Okay.
That's also
really cool.
One of them with you guys
With
that
us.
we haven't announced yet.
And so he knows what can be announced, but what else should we look for AEG? Where do we follow? What's coming out there?
So we just opened. We're about to open the pledge manager for our Kickstarter Into the Fun Factory, which is a Kickstarter where we're selling. You have an opportunity to buy pretty much all of our catalog of stuff.
Okay.
But we also are launching a brand new game in that Kickstarter, Into the Machine. And the way the Kickstarter is set up is that how you purchase products inside the Kickstarter, you can min-max the price of Into the Machine all the way down to free.
Nice.
And so I've been spending my extra time inside of the Hive Pledge Manager trying to figure out how to make the min-max game work in a way that's going to be really cool. Yeah.
Okay. But I remember doing the demo at Gen Con. It was really fun. It was all these little pieces that you get to alter.
It's a great game.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us so much. Thanks to Mike, our editor, for making us look and sound amazing. And if you enjoyed this, then we will also be at BGGCon coming up. So Shu and I will be hosting a live board game trivia event. So sign up if you're going to be there and come say hi. Thanks so much for listening. And now you can stop listening and go play a game. Bye.